Hey, everyone. It's your girl, Hennither Gant. If you are watching this, I am talking to HRpreneurs, okay? If you are in HR and you desire to turn your skills into a profitable business, I am your girl. You want to make sure that you check out www.kingdomhr.biz for more info about our upcoming courses, chances to be able to work one-on-one with me, or just to simply email me a question. All right, so today, I want to talk to you all about a decision that every one of us HRpreneurs are going to have to make. Whether you're just getting started, you're thinking about getting started, or you've been around the rodeo for quite some time. And that is about changing your prices. Welcome to 2022. So here's the deal. New Year usually brings about oh, I should change my prices. That's what most people do. One of the first things to consider, though, is that most of us in this HR space, we're not in a product business. We are in a service business. What in the world does that mean? If you're in a product business and you're selling this career image solution mug, quick plug, my HR company, right? The cost of the mug, right? You want to make sure that you have profit, right? You don't want to have a price that's less than the mug, the product that you are paying for, right? But in a service, we're selling what we know, our our intellectual property and capacity, the things that we know, right? So how do you put a price tag on that? There's so many other ways. That's not what this video is about how to price. It's about how to know when to change your prices, right? So with that being said, you want to just kind of keep that in mind that you're pricing something different, right? So you want to be mindful that, again, you're not pricing a product, you're pricing a service. So what does that mean? That means that you have to look at all of the different some external factors that contribute to how you know what you know and what the value is in the marketplace. What's the value, right? So a lot of people talk about, oh, look at what your competitors make. Look at what you made before at your last job. I am not an advocate of just picking a number out of the hat and say, well, my last job paid me $55,000 a year, and that was X amount of dollars, per hour. And that's how much I want per hour. I just think that listen, I'm not going to say that's the wrong way to do it, but I do think that by just keeping that mindset for pricing might keep you in a box, especially with the services that you offer. How do you know when to price? Okay. It's not just when the new year starts. Okay. Because again, there are a lot of people that's doing that. That's saying, oh, new year, new prices, new year, you better hurry up and get this because in the new year, the prices are going up. Nothing wrong with that. But here are some other reasons that you might want to consider. And this is just a short list that I teach some of my clients. So here's the bottom line. When you start doing the business of HR, you will learn that finances are very important. Now, if I know you right, most of you got into HR because you love helping people. But here's what I'm here to tell you. If you are interested in having a profitable business, okay, a profitable business, you got to know your numbers. You have to know your numbers. You have to know how many hours is it going to take for me to do X, Y, and Z? And if I make this amount of money, how much money am I going to need? And there are many people that I coach, and especially in the HRpreneur space, that don't necessarily deal with money. And again, I get it. It's not necessarily a sweet spot of most HR professionals, but it's a good one. It's a good habit to begin to develop, because when you start to have your own business, you want to know about what's coming in, what's going out, so on and so forth, right? So if you really look at your finances, which I encourage our coachees to do, right, when they join our program or our work one-on-one, I always say, hey, look at your personal budget. I give them, there's a sheet that they have to complete. And then I always talk about, well, let's look at what your business expenses are. Now, if you've watched the previous video, you know that I've given you the outline of the normal cost of starting an HR business. If you want to go back and look for that and watch that video, because I go into the fact that starting an HR company is really not as expensive as you might think it is, right? It's really not as not to get started. Now, as you grow, you might want to invest more in marketing, so on and so forth. But when you start to look at your financials and you don't see much profit, that's an indication that your prices need to go up. That's an indication. You need to really pay attention to what's coming in, what's going out. Now, there are some of you that are going to be working full time while starting your HR biz. That's if you know my story, that's how I got started. And to be quite honest, I didn't start paying attention to the numbers until I decided to leave my federal my federal employer, right? And I left my good old government job and decided to come home and start my own company and go get an office space. Again, I talk about my story in another video, but I went through all the ups and downs, and that's why I get to share this information with you, because I'm hoping that you don't have to make the same mistakes that I have. Now, pricing is something that I believe is a personal decision. You know, depending on where you are in the country, I know I have people watching globally, right? Your prices, cost of living might be different in some areas than others, right? The market is different. The economic impact, the ecosystem is different. So I believe that pricing is a personal choice, right? Just because someone is charging $500 an hour doesn't mean that you have to charge $500 an hour, because you need to look at your target audience. Is that something that they pay? Is that something that you've been called to pay? So again, I think that one of the foundational things in an HR business is looking at your finances. And once you look at your finances, look at your profit and loss. Look at the fact like, hey, what's coming in? What's going out? Am I making profit? Does this make sense? If you are solo HRpreneur, what you want to do is to track the hours that it's taking you to do certain tasks, and then look at your hourly rate, whatever hourly rate you establish. If you've taken my course or you've seen something that I've done on pricing, you know I break out a whole entire formula of what you could utilize to come up with your pricing for services, for our services, HR specific services. So you need to know what your hourly rate is. So what I would recommend is for you to say, hey, you know what? How many hours is it really taking me to do this? And what's the value that I'm providing? What's the value add for my client? Oh my gosh, they just saved $10,000 because I did this audit. I'm saving them $10,000. I'm not charging enough. Or you might be in a position to say, you know what? I'm looking at how many hours I'm putting in, and I'm only profiting $500 at the end of it because I have to pay for this system and that system. I'm going to have to increase my price, right? So that's a reason for you to want to increase your price, okay? Here's another one I have here. Cost of living is also another indication of when you might need to increase your price. So one of the things I like to adopt, even in my company now, like even when we pay people, and when we conduct HR consultations with clients, one of the things I love to do is to establish what your compensation philosophy is. So it's the same principle that I'm gonna have applied here in your pricing philosophy. What I mean by that is, so when I consult clients on HR strategy for their companies, especially in compensation analysis, so on and so forth, I ask them, well, what is your desired compensation philosophy? Do you believe that you want to pay below market, at market, or above market? Because there's some employers that say, oh, could you go do some research and see what everybody else is paying? Well, somebody had to start paying somebody at a rate. Somebody had to start the trend, okay? Somebody had to start it. So are you a trendsetter, or are you one that is looking to just go with the masses? Are you looking to maybe underbid your competitors? And again, there's no right or wrong. Pricing is a personal choice. Somebody needs to hashtag that. But pricing is a personal choice. So if cost of living has increased, not just for you, for your household. Listen, you all know I'm a wife and a mother of five. Y'all praying for me at night, right? Okay. So cost of living, even if it has not gone up out of my house, it's gone up because I have 4 boys that keep eating all the time. Okay. No, but cost of living is something that is very real. And I know many people that base their pricing off of cost of living and say, don't you see that these things went up? If these things went up, then my prices are going to go up. Again, I'm not telling you any right or wrong, just some reasons to consider. Okay. There's another reason that I want to bring up, which is maybe no one is buying, right? And the feedback, which is what I love getting survey feedback. You might ask, hopefully you're sending out surveys to your prospective customers and so on and so forth, right? And we have a whole package for that if you need that. But if you are talking to lots of prospective customers and they are saying no, hopefully you're asking them, why are you saying no, right? So if your customers are saying no and they're like, hey, it's pricing, it's too much. Now, I'm not saying that you need to come down on your pricing, right? Because of somebody saying it's too high. One person saying it's too high, two people saying it's too high, three people saying it's too high. But you want to, again, look at your numbers to see, hey, I've spoken to 20 people in the year and 15 said no because of the pricing, right? So again, that might be a good thing for some of us. Like, hey, I'm trying to weed out people anyway. I don't want everybody because my pricing is my pricing. That's a philosophy that I know some people have. And then there are others that say, hey, you know what? 15, if there were 15 people, then that's an opportunity. I might need to change my pricing. Maybe not necessarily lowering it, but maybe you offer a different product, right? That's a lower price that has less things in it, right? To those particular target audiences. So there's so many ways to change your pricing structure. It's not just about, oh, what I get paid per hour. There might be some different packages and services that you can offer different target audiences and still win at the end of the day. That's something that we have to craft and master. And I really feel like we're at a sweet spot now in being able to offer different services to people that came to us that weren't necessarily our target market, but there were so many of them, right? So we had to kind of just build something in there for them. And we were still able to increase our price for one of our packages, but we were able to bring in another service package that was still able to speak to another audience. So that was the way that we were able to change our prices. Okay. Then my last but not least, again, the list can go on and on and on. I would love to know in the chat, when you watch this, how do you know when it's time for you to change your prices? Tell me about a time when you changed your prices and what was the reason that you changed it? Did you have a percentage that you went by? How did you come up with that percentage? We want to know about it. And you all know that I'm huge about us masterminding, huge about us sharing opportunities. HR professionals change the world. If there are integrity-filled HR professionals sitting at the tables of companies, helping career professionals one at a time, could you imagine the type of impact and legacy that we would leave behind, right? So with that being said, I want to share my last tip with you. One of the reasons why I believe that prices should change. How do you know prices should change? If God said so. Okay. Now I know people are watching of different types of faith, things of that nature. It's not my job to convince you of that, but I am here to tell you that including God in your business is one of the best in my business. It's one of the best decisions I've ever made. Now, do I remember sometimes because, listen, let me just go ahead and put myself on blast really quick. God has blessed me with some natural giftings, okay? The word says that gifts come without repentance. A lot of people mistake gifts as if when somebody is gifted at something, somebody's skilled at something, they automatically, assume like, oh, they're so blessed. Like their gifts are their gifts. God says gifts come without repentance. So whether you're a good person or a bad person, you're still born with gifts, okay? And I have some gifts which I know of. Okay. And because of that, it has allowed me to do a lot of things, some things, what I would say in my own strength. Not on my own, but in my own strength, meaning I didn't consult with the Lord. I didn't abide. I didn't go. I just went ahead and did it because it sounded good. I went ahead and did it because it was shiny. And then afterwards, I was like, oh God, what did I do? Anybody been there? Hello, somebody, right? But I'm telling you, when I started getting the epiphany to include God in my business. And what I mean by that is I started praying and asking about decisions, who I should hire, who I shouldn't hire, when this agreement should end, when it should start, if I should work with this. What this channel came because of my quiet time with the Lord. I did not want to do this, quite frankly. Okay. I would rather be doing the work behind the scenes. I love to teach, but I just didn't want to go public. And I'm here to tell you, for those of you that do believe, I'm encouraging you to spend some time to get in the face of the Lord and ask him some questions. Say, what do you want me to do with my business? What do you want me to do with pricing? I'm telling you, there are some people that I know, some of our competitors, that have increased their prices to eons. And we did it in some areas, and we did increase it, but it wasn't to them. And sometimes you get tempted when you know that somebody else is charging more for the same thing that you do. Can't nobody do what you do the way that you do it, how you do it. One of my previous coaches used to say that to me all the time. So, just because somebody else is doing it doesn't necessarily mean that's what you have to do. I tell my kids all the time, they'll bring up a different topic that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. And I will say, what does that have to do with the price of milk? And they'll look at me and said, exactly. I'm wondering the same thing. What are we talking about here? Just because Suzanne is charging $800 an hour for her time doesn't mean that you have to charge $800 for your time. And just because you are charging $1,000 an hour for your time doesn't mean that you look down on somebody because they decided to charge $55 an hour for their time. Whatever it is, again, pricing is your own personal, it is your own choice. But I want to encourage you to invite God in the conversation. I want to encourage you to invite him in your strategic planning. I want you to encourage him. If you have not done so already at the top of this year, spend some time over the weekend. Spend some time when you're writing, journaling, seeing what the word says, especially in Deuteronomy, about wealth, about just different things. Make sure that you're doing things with God, because I'm telling you, the oil, you can do some things on your own, but when you do it with him, oh my gosh, he is the best CEO and best business partner. So I hope that this was helpful and encouraging to you. If you want to know more about our upcoming courses, you have some questions for me, hey, you might just want to pick my brain, whatever it is about starting your HR business and or turning your HR skills into a profitable business, you want to go to kingdomhr.biz. That's kingdomhr.biz. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to comment and let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to command your day.